Hello everyone, welcome to iExamD. And today we have with us Jasleen who has cleared her RBI Grade B Officer 2023 exam and is a proud RBI Grade B officer now. So many congratulations Jasleen from our side and from the entire team of iExamD.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jasleen, for taking out time and talking to us today and sharing your experience and all the hard work that you've done to reach this place of becoming RBI Grade B officer today. Let me give a brief background about Jasleen before we ask her about her journey and her experiences. So, Jasleen is a postgraduate in chemistry, and after that, she gave her first attempt for RBI in 2021. After which she took a break and was into the teaching profession when she decided to take this exam again in 2023. And after that break, she has cleared this exam. As such, it's a second attempt, but I will say, almost like a first. She understood the exam before well, took that time, and then came in stronger and performed. So, great, Jasleen. Let's. We are very excited to hear more details about how your preparation journey is. So, first question, which interests me is or intrigues me is chemistry. And from chemistry, you thought of becoming an RBI Grade B officer. What motivated you?
Ma'am, actually, the motivation started back in 2020 when I was in my final year of masters because I knew that I wouldn't be interested in doing a PhD for a number of reasons. First, it's a very long commitment. Second, I don't think that research was something that was for me. So at that time, I started exploring other options that I had. There were many options. There was UPSC. There were other options. But when I looked for the syllabus of all the exams, I was actually fascinated by banking, finance, economics. And that was because I used to read newspapers at that time, just for entertainment, I would say. But those were the sections that used to kind of fascinate me. And they were very intuitive. Like I used to understand the things like GDP, employment, and I used to find them very interesting to know, like, how is India progressing or how is Punjab doing, all those things. So I thought that I should give those exams an attempt. So due to COVID, my master's was delayed. My final exams happened in December. So I had a lot of free time. I started preparing. So I prepared for SBI PO and RBI Grade B at that time. So I gave. So my the one thing that I would like to tell everyone is that the thing that demotivates us is that we once we face a failure, we just think that nothing good is going to happen now. So that was the case with me at that time. And when I gave SBI PO, I gave the prelims, mains, interview, everything, but I couldn't make it to the final list. And I was absolutely devastated. I thought that if I couldn't make it this time, what better I could do the next time. So at that time, I also gave RBI Grade B. I cleared the prelims, and because of the devastation of the SBI PO result, I didn't even appear for the mains because I thought that I don't want to face another failure. So that was something very negative about me at that point. And then I just left the preparation. I thought that this is very demotivating and I should take up something else. So I went into teaching. I was a chemistry faculty for NEET for around 2 years. I joined back in June 2021 and resigned this year in April 2023 because a number of things have motivated me. So I thought that when I was teaching, I realized that students they are working so hard and they are so young to me. So if they can do it, why cannot I? So it was the students' perseverance that motivated me to do something and give my 100% this time. Even though the time span was short, but I actually gave my 100% for the first time, I would say.
That's very interesting story, I will say, Jasleen. For so many reasons, we all are so human. First failure can be devastating, as you are saying,
Yes,
and so many times we ourselves give up. We don't understand our own potential, and we are scared to take that risk. And
yes,
again, so that is so human. And then the other part that you mentioned, then you went into teaching, and then you found your motivation from your own students.
Yes, ma'am.
That's also, I think, very, very. So you said you went into a negative spiral, but rising from there in a positive manner and taking that thing that learning and motivation can actually come from anywhere.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
that is again so true. So that's very, very interesting, Justine. I think, and being able to make that focus, uh,
Yes,
from chemistry, because again you were in touch with your subject for 2 years.
yes,
If you are teaching,
yes,
I'm sure you were delving into the details again and again for that.
yes, ma'am.
So that's interesting. One more point that I found interesting is when you said, you started reading newspaper first for the entertainment purpose. So what's
Yes.
your journey like from moving to an entertainment purpose reading of newspapers to really moving on to reading it for understanding it better, and how it helped in your GA preparation, because GA is a crucial part in the phase one of the RBI exam.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, like I said, that I used to actually like reading newspapers because I kind of like reading a number of things. I've always been interested in reading, whether it's fiction or non-fiction, and even newspapers, because at that time I used to be very aware of all the things around me, and I used to feel good when I used to know things more than my classmates, I would say. And like this preparation phase as well, even though my GA score in phase 1 was not up to the mark because I had very limited time and because I didn't practice many mock tests for the phase 1, so I didn't know that time would be a very crucial factor. And at that time the questions, they were so lengthy, and I couldn't even read all the questions till the end. I thought that I would just reread them, I marked them, but there was no time. The questions were very long and they required a lot of time. But yes, I would say that newspapers, they help way too much, whether it's phase 1, it's phase 2, or the interview, because like every single phase, it's not just about cramming the facts, it's about having a comprehensive understanding of everything.
So
And there are monthly PDFs, of course, they help for the final revisions. But to build a comprehensive view about what is happening and how to consolidate all those things, reading newspapers, I think it should be a daily affair to do, and not just compiling everything and gulping everything down till the end day. It should be a ritual, I would say.
that's a great advice, I think, Justine, that you've given, because actually, that, as you said, it gives a comprehensive view. It helps you build, and without us realizing it, it helps us in phase two. It helps us
Yes,
in the interview stage, because
yes,
we are
ma'am.
then able to comprehend things in a clearer manner,
Yes, ma'am.
and answer them, because we don't know exactly in what form the question will be asked. It would
Yes,
be the same topics as the syllabus, but the
yes, ma'am.
format may change, right?
Yes,
So that's a great thing. I will reiterate it for the students and aspirants who are watching it. Newspaper reading actually is a very, 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 very important thing overall, despite all the summaries and all that you have to go through, which are important for the revision purposes, which are important to improving your score. I also picked up one point, Jasleen, that you mentioned that you had not really given a lot of mock tests. So is it anything that you would say that we always talk about what went right, what wasn't
yes.
right, and you would advise people to not make that mistake for their preparation related to phase one, maybe?
The one mistake that I think no one should make is to delay things, or just, I would say that if you're watching the video right now, just jump start into the preparation, and don't let negative synergies take over you. Think positively about it, and the earlier you start, the more advantage you are at. And given the kind of level, the reasoning and the quants they have, they require a lot of practice. So like this year, the shift that I actually went for, the quant was relatively okay, but the reasoning, it was actually very tough. And the puzzles, everything, they were of quite a higher level, I would say. So practice as much as you can, and just don't get scared if you score less in the initial marks, because that would eventually rise. And even if it's less, it's not about scoring great in marks, it's about learning from the mistakes.
Great.
Because the lesser we score, there is even more scope of improvement. So just don't let that demotivate you, and learn from your mistakes. That's the best you can do.
That's a very good way of looking at things, and you very beautifully, Jasleen, mentioned this. That scoring less in mocks does not mean that you don't know it.
Yes,
It's an opportunity to know what all you don't know and what all ground you need to cover. So
yes, ma'am.
rather than giving up, no, I can't do this, or it's not worth taking the
Yes,
mocks, I will do them later. It's actually a real time understanding of what more ground you need to cover to come at the exam level. So that's a great point. And yes, the earlier we start, the better it is.
yes, ma'am.
Time and practice have a huge impact, which we sometimes underestimate.
Yes, ma'am.
So great. So Justine, let's move to phase two. Right, a lot of students actually start preparing for phase two earlier than phase one, thinking because of course it is more important in this, because it
Yes,
directly adds to your selection
yes.
score. So, what had been your strategy, and especially coming from a non-economic, non-finance background? How did you approach the ESI and the FM papers and the preparation?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, like when I came back home after resigning from my job, the very first thing that I did for 2 to 3 days was to analyze all the previous year papers. Because these sections are so vast, like any particular subject in this world is so vast, we cannot cover it all. So, we just need to focus on the parts that the exam is expecting us to do. So for ESI specifically, for the government schemes in the objective section is very, very important. So my first priority after analyzing the papers and listening to the topper talks and all those things, I realized that for that I need to cover current affairs on priority for the subjective part, and for the objective part, government schemes has to be a major part compared to anything else. So for that, the static portion doesn't play a big role in, but of course it plays a role because you need to have that static understanding to understand the current things. But for the from the exam point of view, the majority of the paper is asked from these two areas. And one thing that I would say is that even though I covered all the government schemes, revision is something which is very, very important. Even though revision is, of course, it's boring compared to learning new things. And we think that once or twice revision, it's enough, but it's not. It's like you have to revise every week, or after a few days, because during the exam the options, they are so close and you can just get confused and forget them at that particular time. And this year I think the ESI objective part especially, it was very kind of very volatile. I mean, the questions were very unexpected. Some of the government schemes were very old schemes as well, and so the revision is very, very important. I would just say that even if you cover lesser number of schemes, but do them with so much perfection that you at least don't mess them up, rather than reading so much that you just forget everything under exam pressure.
Great, great. So, I don't know. I don't have anything much to add. You're saying so bang on, right? The importance of revision, and
Yes, ma'am.
that's so true. There's endless things that you can learn.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
and actually, one should keep learning. Not that once I'm sure you will not stop reading newspapers. You'll not stop reading any other new concept that comes up. And there's so many new words, types of finances being coined. It's so interesting to read about climate finance now. It's how it is unraveling
Yes,
so much about climate risk, something that we could never even think about could have existed or could be
yes,
related to the finance world, if we talk about a decade back. So
absolutely.
one is absolutely has to keep learning. So to come back to this point, it is going to be endless. So focusing on the syllabus and planning and strategizing so that you could focus on the aspect, and that's at IXAMB, that's also what we try,
Yes,
and that's how we try to make it 50% faster, that we keep seeing. It's
yes,
because of highlighting the importance of revision, highlighting the importance of understanding the concepts and building it in such a manner that it sticks in your head. It clarifies your concepts, and you can actually understand things and approach questions in all manner
Yes.
possible. So just feel very beautifully that you mentioned, and I am sure this has helped you, because that's why in short
Definitely
period of
did.
time you have been able to clear all the three phases.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
let's talk about the phase three, the interview stage.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sure after the result of phase two, it had been mixed feelings, of course, of excitement, and then also reaching to the last leg of the
Yes.
selection process is also a very very nervous situation. So how did you handle it, and how did you think about going ahead with its preparation?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, I had a lot of time between my phase two results and interview. Approximately, I guess, 2.5 months, because my interview
Okay.
was on 5th December. So I think I learned so many things in this time. The first thing that I did was I read this book called Indian Economy by Mishra and Puri. And earlier I had the PDF, but now I thought I should get the physical book because I have so much time. I should actually build upon my concepts even more. And that book helped me so much that I understood so many things from a very bird's point of view. Like earlier I knew things, I knew that this is the 1991 crisis, this is the global financial crisis, this is this, but now after reading the book I could connect all the dots. I could understand the correlation between these things, so that really helped me sound and very professional in my interview. One thing that I did was, because I had so much time, I read this book. Second thing that I did was, again, very important, to absolutely be very thorough with the RBI website. Of course, one cannot read everything, but the one document which is the, I would say, the Bible for the interview preparation, it's the Working and Functions PDF. So, ma'am, actually, what I did was I annotated the entire document into the form of questions and answers, like every single thing, whatever was given there in text, I converted it into question and answers, and I revised it for at least 4 to 5 times, the entire PDF. And the other things that I took from the RBI website, like the speeches, very important to read the speeches of the governor and the deputy governors, and they're so knowledgeable that even if you'd read them for leisure purposes, you would love them. Like ma'am, you said about
Exactly.
climate finance, sustainable finance, and there was a speech on changing paradigms in banking, emerging India. They are so interesting that you would just find them, you won't find them boring or a burden on yourself. And other than that, reading the what's new section and understanding the departments and what the work they are doing. So first, like I said, I read the book to make my basics, and then the RBI website. And third thing, of course, again, the newspaper. Like everyone would say that I am focusing so much on them, but I think newspapers are the solution from phase one till interview. Whether it's the GA in phase one, English in phase one, in the phase two, they help in the writing purpose as well. And in phase three, they help us so much, like in the entire speaking and using professional words and sounding good. So these are the three things that I followed for the interview preparation.
Great. I think you did everything bang right. That's why we see you here right now,
Yes.
which is true. The organization, and RBI is one website in in the government space, I will say, not exactly government, which is so up to date. It is,
Yes.
updated on a almost like a live basis,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
it
Yes.
is full of information. It's full of knowledge. As
Yes.
you rightly said, the speeches are a delight to read.
Yes, ma'am.
They are very very nicely written in a non-economic format, I will say.
Yes,
Anybody
ma'am.
can understand them, and they give such a beautiful view of the economic and the financial state of our country. So yes, even if otherwise reaching or not reaching the interview stage, I think one, if is interested in the economic and
Yes,
financial
ma'am.
position of the country, they should read those. Of course, glimpses of those come in newspapers here and there, so we have a direct open source, so anybody should regularly can go through that, and it's a very nice approach that you have told about, how to go about understanding the functions and the working of RBI by annotating them into a question format. That's a great advice, I think, and I'm sure some will pick this up and try this also. So great, Jasleen. I'll not take much of your further time. Anything that you could tell about iExambi and what role it has played in your journey?
Ma'am, like for the phase 1 and phase 2, I refer to the YouTube videos of iExamB. And also I refer to the finance and management, the theoretical portion, because that is all, the entire paper is static. So getting a good material and revising it n number of times would just do the job for that particular exam. And the main course that helped me a lot was the interview course. And the mock interview, especially like the mock interview with the iExamB, went really good, and it was just like 10 days before my actual interview. So after that, when the interview ended and when ma'am and sir told me like how good it was, so that was a very good push factor for me. As earlier I was feeling very skeptical that if do I even know the concepts to the level that other commerce graduates might know. But after the motivating words of the mock interview, they really helped me and they boosted my confidence. So that was a very big factor for me actually after the mock interview.
Great, Jasleen. So happy to know that it's been helpful, and that's what the endeavor is. In the feedback, we be as candid as
Yes.
possible, because the idea is to help you through the actual interview.
Yes.
And the regular sessions that were done before the mocks were also aligned in the same fashion, that both
Yes.
technical and non-technical aspects get covered for your overall preparation. Having said that, I will also, highlight this point for Jasleen, that, when Jasleen knew that she's competing against the best people who may have come from, financial economic backgrounds, also she herself made sure that she is at par by reading the right content, by focusing on the areas that she need to strengthen as per the organization's expectations, rather than thinking, this is not my cup of tea, just leave it, or I cannot do this.
Yes.
That's so great motivating story, Jasleen. I'm sure like you have listened to the toppers before your preparation, your story and your journey will be as inspiring for the future aspirants. And thank you so much for joining us today. Wishing you a great career with RBI ahead from the entire team of iExamB.